Hello everybody, it's Joe with Trekkie Bricks, and we are here on my workbench, aka chest freezer, because I got some stuff in the mail, and I am just totally doing this on the fly for a little change up for the Lightbrick. This originally had this little LED in there, and as you can see, it is no more. So, what we're going to be doing here is changing that little LED that's normally battery powered and connecting it to one of these 3mm LEDs and a USB cable, so it can just be continuously powered. To do this, I've got my helping hands holding my soldering iron. I've got a screwdriver for the bottom here, wire strippers. I've got my solder. This is flux 1.8%, 0.6mm, 50 grams, and just what I've always used there. And then a USB cable to a device that no longer functions. Some USB cables will be a little bit thicker. I tried to find one that was as thin as possible. Since we're just doing this little light brick, I didn't need a ton of tension all over it. So let's get right into it here. I'm going to take off this screw. Oh, and I've already plugged in my soldering iron to get it warmed up. So that just came right apart. I'm going to pull out this, which normally would go in for your battery. So that sits on there, opens it right up. Normally this sits in here, and this metal piece sits in here. So when you push on the back of it, the metal makes a connection between the batteries and the other LED. Oh, one other thing that I forgot to mention. I pre-drilled a hole in this. So let's open up the LEDs. And again, just totally on the fly here, just because I was all excited to get these in the mail. So what's going to happen is this is going to sit in the same spot. I might have to modify this a little bit further. Let's see here. I'm going to take out this section here. I'm going to use my screwdriver. These pieces here, I'm just going to move them out of the way, cut them out. All right, there we go. I did right here. Remove some material here and a little bit of material right there. Now you may be asking, why are you modifying a light brick like this? Didn't it work just fine before? Well, that's just the problem. No, it did not. I broke it. I was experimenting doing some stuff, and I broke it. So, there we go. Now, that will be able to sit right flush, holding that down, just like that. And then we got this gray piece to put in the back, because there's not a lot of working room. We've got, this is just regular cable where they soldered onto it, and then this is a resistor that they soldered the wire onto. So yeah, there's really not a lot of working room in there. And you know what? What the heck? Let's make it nice and clean. We'll cut this really short. Cut this really short. Yeah, let's do it. All right, I grabbed my multimeter, so that way after I cut this off, I'll be able to see how much voltage is coming down the wire. And that's because I want to make sure that I'm actually wiring it up the right way. Come on. Now I get this sheathing off of here. It's not on to play nice. There we go. We'll just cut that right off. And then we've got this fabric in here. And interesting, it has like a outer ground wire too. Oh man, that's really not wanting to cut off there. Come on now, play nice. There we go. Now what I'm interested in is the black and the red. The green and white should be data cables. The The black and the red should be power. So I'm going to strip these back a little bit, and then we're going to find out. There we go. All right, so I haven't plugged in my USB yet. I've got my cables separated. So now let's plug this in, test voltage. Black to black, red to red, and 4.8 volts. There we go, that's gonna work. And just to make sure, you know, sanity check here, let's plug in this USB while we're already got wires stripped. Look at that, we're lit up. So now we just need to connect the wires, solder them up here, put it back in the box. It's pretty straightforward. You can unplug that from the wall. And I don't need this anymore. Let's move that out of the way. Now this, because I'm not using those data cables, I'm just going to snip those and bring these through the back side here. I put it through the hole here off camera just because I was like, oh, I better test that before I start recording, and I just left it in. So there we go. We are now through there. Next thing I'm going to do is cut these back, and this is going to be way shorter than I would prefer, but I think I kind of have to. So, ooh, really short. Hopefully nothing goes wrong here. And strip that wire. And that wire. Heat shrink on that is stretching. There we go. Okay. So, now with this in here, it's going to be kind of interesting. I almost kind of want to bring that back to itself. So, solder them on instead of in line like this, have them like this. Because that will give me the most amount of working room. So, let's take this and wrap it around the two cables. Let's do negative first. That positive cable's getting in the way. Come on now. Now pinch that side. Okay. I know this might be a little bit hard to see on camera just because it's kind of small there. But I'm going to get this soldering. Oh, I lost my screwdriver off the back. That's all right. I won't need it for a minute. So I've got my solder. I'm just going to get the wire warmed up enough. There we go. Only takes a little bit. So one side, and then we're gonna take this and see if we can get the positive side. Okay, it's a little messy, but I think we're okay. So with that, let's plug it in. Let's see if that light still lights up. Look at that, we're good. So our solder is working. Perfect. I'm gonna move the helping hands back a little bit and come back to this side over here. So I talked about having both face the same direction, and that's because this cable is just going to curve back. So when that sits in there, there we go, and that leaves enough room. Let's see if I can get this up here one-handed. we go. To set that, I need to go get my screwdriver that fell. The back side of the Lightbrick. Put this on there. And then kind of shove that in. There we go. So this sits. Now one thing to note is you can pull on this a little bit. I would not want to be pulling on that with any sort of tension though, because you could rip those solder joints apart. But there we go. We now have a permanently wired, and as long as it's plugged in, permanently turned on Lightbrick. All right, I decided to do one more thing. Liquid electrical tape. It is what it says, right? It's electrical tape is liquid. I decided to do one more thing. What I'm going to do is take this back apart, and I am going to put some liquid electrical tape in there so that, oh man, this is going to be messy. So that if the cord gets pulled on, it has the resistance of that the liquid electrical tape. And yeah, this stuff is messy, runny, all of the above. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if you'll be able to see because you're going to be right above. I'm going to get enough on the brush of it to kind of hold a little bit and then let it drip down in. There we go. Okay. So what I'm doing, because you probably can't see this, I'll just describe it. I've got enough on the brush that it's going down to the end of the brush and just letting it pool into the Lightbrick off the end of the brush. Maybe I'll digitally zoom in. I don't want to let go of this too much trying to grab that camera. But you can see I've just got it all pulled in there. I'm going to put a little bit right on top actually. You gotta be really careful with this stuff so that it doesn't accidentally glob off to the side and whatnot. That's when it gets super messy. Got a little bit off the side. That's okay. All right, I'm gonna put this back on. And you can kind of see it like darkened up on the inside there. I'm actually not sure how that's going to work being enclosed like that, but I really don't want to risk this moving whatsoever. I do know that you have to let this sit like overnight before it can be thickened up to the point that if you pull on that cable, nothing's going to move. So being that that's in an enclosed space, at this point, I'm just not even going to touch it for like over a day. I mean, it's okay to move right now, like moving it around, getting it to wherever I want it to sit, because obviously I don't want it to sit on this as we get food and whatnot from the chest freezer. But the final position, you just want to leave it, not mess with it. So yeah, I'll just do one last check real quick, plug it in, and we're good to go. I've got an application that I can put this in, and we'll see how well it works with the cord coming off the back. Perfect. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you along for more of my fun Lego builds here, and we'll see you later.